Hello everyone, welcome to English Meow. Today, I'm going to share Ethan's journey of learning English with you. Let's explore the methods he used to learn while listening to his slow-paced English reading.
My name is Ethan, and my journey with English listening began when I realized that my career ambitions could not be fulfilled without it. I grew up in a mid-sized city where English was mostly a subject in school, something to memorize and pass exams. Like many students, I focused on grammar, reading, and writing, while listening and speaking remained weak points. I could understand written instructions or answer questions on a test, but when faced with native speakers, I often felt lost. My confidence in real-life communication was low, and I avoided opportunities that required listening in English, fearing embarrassment. My perspective changed when I started studying business at university. I aspired to work for an international company and participate in global conferences. During my first year, I attended a guest lecture given entirely in English by an industry professional. The speed of the speech, combined with idiomatic expressions and technical vocabulary, left me overwhelmed. I understood perhaps 10% of what was said. That moment was both intimidating and motivating. I realized that if I wanted to achieve my goals, I had to improve my listening skills dramatically. The challenge seemed enormous, but the desire to succeed pushed me to start actively working on it. I began with resources designed for learners. I listened to podcasts with clear, slow speech and watched videos made for students learning English. Initially, comprehension was minimal, but I committed to daily practice. I would listen during my commute, while exercising, or even while doing chores. Repetition became a central part of my strategy. I would listen to the same episode multiple times, the first time to grasp the general idea, the second time to catch details, and the third time to repeat phrases aloud. This method gradually helped me recognize pronunciation, patterns, intonation, and common expressions. Even when I did not understand every word, I could start to follow the overall meaning. One of my earliest breakthroughs occurred when I joined an English-speaking study group at university. Initially, I mostly listened, fearful of making mistakes. I struggled to follow fast conversations and often asked for repetition. But over time, I noticed that my brain was starting to predict words and phrases before they were fully spoken. I began contributing small comments and questions. Each interaction reinforced my listening skills and slowly built my confidence. I realized that listening improvement is not about understanding everything perfectly. It is about recognizing enough to participate meaningfully. I also began incorporating English media into my daily life. I watched business news, interviews with CEOs, and entrepreneurship talks in English. At first, I used subtitles, but gradually, I reduced my reliance on them. I started to notice common business phrases, idioms, and sentence structures which made comprehension easier. Music and audiobooks became another tool for learning. Listening to English songs with storytelling lyrics helped me internalize rhythm and pronunciation while keeping the practice enjoyable. Over time, English stopped being a source of anxiety and started becoming a part of my daily life. As I progressed in my studies, I realized that passive listening, just hearing English, was not enough. I needed to engage actively with the language. I began keeping a dedicated notebook where I wrote down words, idioms, and expressions I encountered in podcasts, news reports, or conversations with native speakers. Whenever I didn't fully understand a phrase, I would look up its meaning, practice pronouncing it aloud, and try to use it in my own sentences. This process connected listening with active comprehension and speaking, reinforcing my understanding and helping me internalize the sounds and rhythms of English. I also started watching English language business lectures and interviews online. At first, the speed of native speakers was intimidating. I could only catch fragments, and important details often slipped past me. I learned to divide content into manageable segments, listening repeatedly to the same passage. During the first listen, I focused on the general idea. On the second, I paid attention to specific vocabulary and details. Finally, I repeated key phrases aloud, mimicking the speaker's pronunciation and intonation. This routine slowly trained my ears to recognize words in context, making real-time comprehension easier and more natural. Music and audio content became essential tools for immersion. I listened to English podcasts and audiobooks during my daily commute and while exercising. Songs with repetitive lyrics or storytelling content helped me identify sentence structures, rhythm, and intonation patterns. At first, I followed along with lyrics or transcripts, then gradually tried to understand without any written support. Music and storytelling helped me associate meaning with sound, improving both my listening and speaking confidence. Social interaction played a critical role in my learning. I joined a student organization where English was the primary language of communication. During group discussions, I initially stayed quiet, afraid of misunderstanding or making mistakes. But I quickly realized that mistakes were part of learning. By asking politely for repetition or clarification, I could stay engaged without feeling embarrassed. Over time, I began contributing actively, asking questions, giving opinions, and sharing ideas. These conversations provided real-world listening practice and helped me internalize idiomatic expressions and natural phrasing that textbooks rarely taught. Travel and practical experience became major milestones. During a summer internship at a multinational company, I had to attend meetings, listen to presentations, and participate in discussions entirely in English. At first, I struggled to follow fast-paced exchanges and technical terms. But by focusing on keywords, observing body language, and asking for clarification when necessary, I gradually managed to understand and respond appropriately. Each successful interaction boosted my confidence and showed me that my listening skills were improving significantly. Through all these experiences, I discovered that listening in English is not about perfection. It is about understanding enough to engage meaningfully. Progress is gradual, and patience is essential. Each small success, from understanding a podcast episode to following a meeting without missing the main points, motivated me to continue. Listening, once a source of anxiety, was becoming a gateway to opportunities, knowledge, and connections in the professional world I aspired to join. By my third year, I had made noticeable progress, but I still faced challenges in fast-paced business discussions and networking events. Listening to native speakers during conferences, webinars, and group meetings often felt overwhelming at first. Some speakers used idioms, phrasal verbs, and technical jargon that I hadn't yet mastered. Instead of panicking, I focused on main ideas, key terms, and the speaker's tone, gestures, and context. This approach helped me follow the conversation even when I didn't understand every single word. I learned that effective listening is about grasping meaning rather than perfection, which made every interaction less intimidating. I also increased the complexity of my listening practice. I started following financial news in English, watching interviews with CEOs, and listening to entrepreneurship podcasts with faster speech. Initially, I could only catch parts of the conversation, but repeated listening, note-taking, and shadowing exercises helped me gradually fill in the gaps. I would pause recordings, repeat sentences aloud, and summarize key points in my notebook. These exercises strengthened my ability to understand new words in context and improved both my comprehension and my speaking confidence. Real-world practice was crucial. During a summer exchange program in London, I attended lectures, workshops, and networking events entirely in English. The British accent was challenging at first, and people spoke quickly, using informal expressions I wasn't familiar with. At one point, I needed to ask for directions in a crowded train station, and initially, I panicked. But by focusing on keywords and listening carefully, I successfully communicated with a stranger. That small success was transformative, showing me that all my months of practice had prepared me for real-life situations. I realized that understanding English is not about knowing every word, but about using strategies to capture meaning and respond appropriately. Music, media, and social interaction remained essential. I continued listening to podcasts, watching interviews, and following online business tutorials. Songs helped me recognize sentence stress and rhythm, while conversations with peers provided exposure to natural phrasing and colloquial expressions. I learned to ask for repetition politely, to clarify meaning without embarrassment, and to participate actively in group discussions. Over time, listening became less about anxiety and more about engagement, curiosity, and connection. Another breakthrough came during a major group project with international students. We had to present a business plan to a panel of English-speaking professors. Initially, I worried about following my teammates' fast conversations and understanding the technical details. But by focusing on key points, asking questions when needed, and actively listening, I was able to contribute ideas and respond effectively. The experience taught me that listening is dynamic. It involves predicting, interpreting, and interacting in real time. It reinforced my belief that confidence grows with exposure, persistence, and a willingness to learn from mistakes. Through these experiences, I realized that listening in English is not a destination, but a journey. Each small success, understanding a podcast episode, following a meeting without notes, or engaging in casual conversation, built both skill and confidence. Listening was no longer a source of stress. It had become a bridge to knowledge, opportunity, and meaningful connections in my chosen field. By the time I approached my final year, my English listening skills had become a true asset. I could follow fast-paced lectures, engage in discussions with native speakers, and even participate confidently in international meetings. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that all the progress I had made was the result of consistent practice, patience, and a willingness to embrace challenges. Every podcast episode, every business interview, and every conversation with a native speaker contributed to my growth step by step. One key lesson I learned is that listening is more than just understanding words. It is about grasping meaning, context, and intention. Early on, I focused too much on individual words, which often left me frustrated. Gradually, I realized that by concentrating on main ideas, key terms, tone, and gestures, I could understand much more and participate effectively. This shift in perspective made listening less stressful and more engaging. I learned to enjoy the process rather than fearing the gaps in my comprehension. Immersion was crucial to my improvement. I surrounded myself with English daily, listening to podcasts during commutes, watching English language business news, and even switching the language settings on my phone and computer. Music, audiobooks, and online videos became tools for training my ear and developing a natural sense of rhythm and pronunciation. Repetition and active listening helped me internalize sentence structures, expressions, and vocabulary, allowing me to predict and understand speech more intuitively over time. Social practice played an equally important role. Conversations with international classmates, networking events, and group projects provided real-life opportunities to test my listening skills. Initially, I would hesitate, afraid of misunderstanding or responding incorrectly. But I learned that mistakes are not failures, they are information. Asking politely for repetition or clarification became second nature, and I gained confidence in engaging with others, even in fast-paced discussions. Over time, I noticed that I could follow meetings, express my thoughts clearly, and even contribute to brainstorming sessions without anxiety. Travel also provided invaluable experience. Attending conferences and workshops abroad exposed me to diverse accents, speech speeds, and colloquial expressions. I vividly remember a conference in New York where the discussion was intense, with multiple speakers interacting rapidly. By focusing on keywords, tone, and context, I was able to follow the conversation and participate meaningfully. That experience solidified my belief that listening is not about perfection, but about comprehension, adaptation, and active engagement. Looking back, I see that learning to listen in English has opened doors I once thought were closed. It has allowed me to access global knowledge, form meaningful connections, and pursue career opportunities with confidence. The journey taught me that progress is gradual, patience is essential, and small victories accumulate into significant growth. Each success, from understanding a business podcast to participating in a complex meeting, reinforced my confidence and motivated me to continue improving. If I could give advice to anyone starting this journey, I would say, immerse yourself in the language. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Practice consistently and celebrate every bit of progress. Listening is not just a skill. It is a bridge to new experiences, knowledge, and connections. With dedication and patience, anyone can transform their ability to listen and communicate in English, just as I did.
Thank you everyone for coming to listen to Ethan's experience of learning English today. I hope that after hearing his learning journey, it will be helpful for your own English studies. But please remember, no matter what, never stop learning. One day you will see a unique version of yourself.